2 years after the first film's success, New Line Cinema released Mortal Kombat Annihilation in November 1997, promising more characters, more action, and a continuation of the saga. What fans got, however, was a sequel that's gone down in infamy.
Too bad you will die.
Annihilation was directed by John R. Leonetti, who had been the cinematographer on the 1995 film and was making his directorial debut here. The script by Brent V. Friedman and Bryce Zabel, with story contributions from producer Kazanoff and even game co-creator John Tobias, attempted to adapt the plot of Mortal Kombat 3, in which the evil Emperor Shao Kahn breaks the rules and invades Earthrealm, resulting in an apocalyptic free-for-all. On paper, it sounded exciting since the stakes were higher than a single tournament, and nearly every character from the games up to that point made an appearance. Unfortunately, Annihilation's production was riddled with challenges that ultimately led to a critically panned result, beloved only in so bad it's good circles, akin to films like Birdemic or The Room.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
One of the first things fans noticed was that many familiar faces were missing. Despite Mortal Kombat 95 ending on a cliffhanger, only Robin Shou and Talisa Soto returned for the sequel. Other main roles were completely recast. Even characters who had cameoed in the first film, like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, were also played by new performers. Scorpion's original actor, Chris Casamassa, opted to do Batman and Robin instead. That's like choosing whether you want to get shot in your left foot or your right foot.
Oh, damn it! Oh my god, that hurts!
I think you missed me.
New Line wanted to strike while the iron was hot, so they fast-tracked the sequel without giving the script or production enough time to breathe. Robin Shou, who played Liu Kang, noted that the filmmakers tried to do too much and ended up with a mess of characters and subplots. The movie's tagline was, "Destroy all expectations," and unfortunately, it did just that. Just not in the way that the marketers intended. With a budget of $30 million, Annihilation set out to be an epic globe-trotting adventure, but it ended up living in infamy as one of the worst video game movies ever. A status reflected in its rock-bottom 4% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. At the box office, Annihilation performed far below expectations, grossing about $51 million worldwide, which was far less than half the first film's take. Given its higher budget, that result deemed it a financial disappointment. Plans for a third movie, which was rumored to be titled Mortal Kombat Devastation, were quickly cancelled amid the poor reception. In fact, Annihilation was such a setback that it essentially froze the franchise in ice for over 2 decades. Apart from an unrelated direct-to-video animated film and a short-lived TV series called Mortal Kombat Conquest, the Mortal Kombat cinematic universe went dark after 1997. The sequel's failure became a cautionary tale. Just because fans love the game doesn't mean they'll love the movie, especially if the filmmaking quality just isn't there. And trust me, we'll get to it. As one distressed fan on the Mortal Kombat subreddit summed it up, quote, 1995's Mortal Kombat was, and still is, the best video game movie ever made. Annihilation is quite possibly the worst movie ever created. Period. But is it really that bad? Is it a hidden gem that was unnecessarily hated on? Let's find out. This is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Shao Kahn invades Earthrealm by resurrecting Queen Sindel, killing Johnny Cage and capturing Kitana. Sonya recruits Jax while Liu Kang seeks Nightwolf, who trains him to unlock his animality power. Jade deceives Liu as being Kahn's spy, and Raiden sacrifices his immortality to fight alongside the heroes, later revealing that Shao Kahn is his brother and Shinnok is their father. Raiden dies in battle, but Jax, Sonya, and Kitana defeat Kahn's generals. Liu uses his animality to expose Kahn's mortality and defeats him. Shinnok is banished, Sindel is freed, and Earth is restored as the Elder Gods revive Raiden as their new leader. Right off the bat, Mortal Kombat Annihilation feels so much cheaper than the first movie. The opening scene leans heavily on clunky 90s CGI and rough green screen work. You can actually see the outlines around some of the actors whenever they're composited in front of a digital background. That roughness is made worse by the fact that most of the original cast has been swapped out for new actors, who only vaguely resemble the originals. The replacements are clearly trying, but it's hard to connect with them when you've already grown attached to the previous versions of these characters. The whole thing just feels off. Johnny Cage's death is carried over from the games, and it solves the whole replacement actor issue quickly enough. It writes him out of the movie and is meant to establish Shao Kahn as being a serious threat. The problem is that this version of Shao Kahn is anything but threatening. His costume looks terrible. He rarely wears his mask, and what we're left with is a guy who looks like Johnny Sins getting scolded by his wizard dad. That dad is supposed to be Shinnok, but he looks nothing like the character from the games. It's ridiculous. Where the first film had campy acting that added charm, Annihilation pushes it way too far. Sindel's "Too bad you will die" has been memed to death for a reason. The first movie had odd deliveries too, but Shang Tsung's worked because the actor knew how to lean into the character.
Your brother's soul is mine.
Here, the bad line readings are just distracting and unfunny. It comes across like everyone is cashing a paycheck and nothing more.
Raiden is of no concern to us.
You let him live?
However, the roster of characters in Mortal Kombat Annihilation is stacked. As someone who grew up loving these games, it's undeniably fun to see Mileena, Motaro, and Nightwolf brought to life in live action. The downside is that the movie feels overstuffed with fan service. Characters pop in just to die seconds later. That keeps the body count high, but it guts the story. And the costumes don't really help that fact. They're technically accurate to the games, but most of them look cheap. The ninjas, like Ermac, Rain, and Scorpion, look like they're wearing off-the-rack Halloween costumes. They're bright and bulky and stiff. They have these giant shoulder pads that look awful. You can practically see how hard it is for the actors to move in them. The robots, though, are the exception. Cyrax and Smoke look fantastic. The bulky design fits their characters, and their fight scenes feel ripped straight out of a Japanese tokusatsu show. Specifically, they remind me of the Metal Hero series in the best way possible. Baraka, on the other hand, is a disaster. I love the character. He was my go-to in Mortal Kombat vs. DC as a kid, but here he just looks like someone wearing a cheap Halloween mask. I get that he's a hard character to adapt practically, but if this was the best they could do, then why even include him? He shows up for one scene, gets killed, and contributes nothing. The same goes for Rain, who is immediately introduced and then is humiliated by Shao Kahn, where he's thrown into a pit of fire in a scene that feels like it belongs in Austin Powers.
We've got a lot of work to do.
Someone help me! I'm still alive, only I'm very badly burned.
That's the frustrating part. As a fan, there's a rush seeing so many recognizable faces, but they don't serve the story. They're just there to pad out the roster. It blurs the line between adaptation and fan service. On one hand, you get cool moments like Sonya using her Kiss of Death fatality on Cyrax. On the other hand, you're left wondering why it doesn't land with the same impact as the first movie. Like, that movie kind of had fatalities. Why doesn't it work here? Meanwhile, the Sub-Zero versus Scorpion fight is one of the few real highlights. The wide profile shots look exactly like a match from the arcade games, and it's a blast. Nothing beats a Sub-Zero and Scorpion fight, and the ending with Scorpion yelling, "Suckers!" is pure comedy gold. It's literally a demon going na-na-na-boo-boo as he kidnaps someone. But the problem is that these characters are never seen again. They show up, Sub-Zero is like, "Oh yeah, no, the evil Sub-Zero that was killed in the last movie, that was actually my brother. Anyways, bye," and we never see him or Scorpion again. What happened? Beyond Kitana being kidnapped, the scene serves zero impact on the story and could have been cut altogether without really ruining anything. Jax is another mixed bag. He looks perfect and feels ripped right out of the games, but his arms are not right. They're explained as being cybernetic strength enhancers instead of prosthetics, and it kills so much of the character's depth. On top of that, the movie is full of clumsy sexual innuendos. Sonya and Mileena fight in the mud for no real reason except to be horny. Jax and Raiden immediately hit on Jade when they see her. Sonya is constantly framed to be ogled, which, I get it, it's Mortal Kombat. I mean, just look at the designs in the 9th game and you'll completely see where this attitude comes from. I'm not complaining, I'm not offended, I actually don't mind a lot of it, but I'm just pointing out how lowbrow a lot of this feels. It's like the writers didn't know what to do with some of these characters, so they just said, let's make a couple sex jokes and call it a day. All throughout Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the movie hammers in that the realms are merging and the world is ending, but it never feels like that's actually happening. Outside of some purple CGI skies and the occasional establishing shot, there's no sense of scale or escalating danger. Instead, the whole movie has this dull purple tint that makes nearly every scene blur together and leaves the visuals looking flat and unappealing. Again, I hate going back and forth like this, but the first film was just so colorful and visually interesting. There was variety. That's gone here. The worst offender, though, is the end of the movie with Liu Kang and Shao Kahn's big fight. They transform into their animalities, and the screen fills with awful CGI blobs slamming into each other. It's glossy, shapeless, weightless, and impossible to follow. The first movie ended with a straightforward, brutal fight between Liu Kang and Shang Tsung. There's no CGI imagery beyond maybe Shang Tsung transforming into a different character. It's a fight to the death. Here, there's a fight, but it's buried under the animality gimmick. It's slow, clumsy, and ruined by the awful effects. Even the brief use of the Mortal Kombat theme can't save it. What makes it even more frustrating is how often the movie cuts back to scenes from the original film, and every time it does, the difference in quality is so glaring. The first movie just looks better. Maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's the cinematography, maybe it's the fact that it wasn't shot almost entirely on a green screen. Whatever it is, it's obvious. That's baffling when you consider that Annihilation had $10 million more than the first movie. In my opinion, the real reason is behind the camera. Most of the original crew didn't return. I mean, the guy that directed this would go on to direct Wish Upon, one of the worst horror movies of the 2010s. Compare that to Paul W.S. Anderson, who, even with a spotty career, knows how to stage action. The writing suffered. The first movie had one credited writer. This one had 5, including John Tobias, who's one of the co-creators of the game. And it's like, why was he involved? Like, no offense, but that should be just a solely based on his work type of credit. He should not have been working on the screenplay. It's a mess at the very foundation, and no amount of money could have saved it. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is often called one of the worst films of all time, and in this case, I agree. Normally, I try to be fair. Being a filmmaker myself, I know how hard it is to make any movie, but this one earns its reputation. I still find things to enjoy in it, but that comes purely with just being a Mortal Kombat fan. On its own, the acting is awful, the direction is clumsy, and the movie fails to deliver what a franchise like Mortal Kombat has to offer.
Oh, nah, I done seen everything.
And with all that out of the way, I'm Cole McCormick, you're watching Firewood Media. Big thank you to our channel members for making videos like these possible. Their names are listed here on screen. For $1.99 a month, the executive producer tier gives you loyalty badges, custom emoji, early access to new videos, exclusive members-only content, and occasional shoutouts. You'll also get your name in the credits of every film project that I make, because if you're supporting it, you're producing it. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.